collected company, Elvis Archdruid. Okay. Okay. I don't have to pull the trigger just yet. He's on one card. I could just path here. Path, get in with the Seeker, search up Sword. He's reasonable. Yeah, Brattleby, why was he F6? That's... I mean, we're just in the practice room, though. This is just me warming up. We might do some 8-mans, but... you don't... Like, if you know you're playing against a Lingering Souls deck, you know there's the possibility of this card. I only run 2 of it, because I don't think Elves is everywhere, but I still really like it as a combat trick. You know, it's very tempting to just slam the Elspeth here. I very much doubt that he tries to trick. Another thing you could do is you can Elspeth and make the Relic Seeker fly, and then get the piece of equipment you want. Actually seems reasonable. He's on 1 card. I think I'm gonna give this guy flying. Away! Get in there, Relic Seeker. Go get me a sword, and just close this game out. The sword is so good in this matchup. Renown. So he's gonna grow. So he becomes a 3/3. And then we go and get the Sword of Fire Ice. And that should be a wrap. Alright, got there. Unfortunately now he knows about the sword. Maybe I'm not supposed to search there. I just thought about it. I mean, we probably would have won just on the back of Elspeth and Lingering Souls and Path and a 3/3 Relic. Maybe I should have grabbed Batterskull. I mean, he's going to bring in any sort of artifact take he has now that he's seen it. I think it was right to take out the Crucible Wayfarer, even though the deck is built around it. Like, this is my engine. But if your opponent is mono basics deck, except for like a Pendelhaven, nice, we got him. We're actually pretty favored in the matchup once I sideboard. This is how I sided for the Elves player. He doesn't want to play us again because I just blew him out with that Persecution. I don't blame him. I post-board, I had a great match. We can consistently get the Sword of Fire Ice. I think other players are going to catch on to what I've seen in the Relic Seeker pretty soon. I'm only running a 1 of Honor of the Pure, because I'm not really a tokens deck. Yes, I'm running Lingering Souls because it's good value, and I was running that 1 card that gets you 3 spirits. But I was having consistency issues with triple white, so I actually trimmed a planes and just said, screw it, let's just add another fetch, and not worry about that. The land destruction package is great. I've yet to lose a game against Tron with this deck. Main deck, playset a Ghost Quarter. Main deck, playset a Tectonic Edge. The only really cool land that I've given myself to tutor up for value from the Weathered Wayfarer. Oh, okay. We'll talk about how it looks when it's not sideboarded. Okay, so this is what it looks like typically. There's only 1 Persecution in the main. I used to have an Execute and a Slay. I've since cut down to Slay. There's a lot of Tarmogoyf. There's a lot of... there's a reasonable amount of Elves, at least in the practice room. But the big one is you want to be able to grind out Jund. This is a great grind card. This is kill your Tarmogoyf, draw a card. It's pretty good. Now it's 3 mana. Don't get me wrong. I mean... But I found that it comes in pretty much any and every matchup where your opponent has green creatures. I mean, I can't say that indefinitely, but I'm pretty sure. The main deck Harm's Way is just to protect the Arbiters, to protect the Relic Seekers. You can sometimes protect... what's another creature I sometimes protect with it? It depends. Like, if they try to Kolaghan's Command, you can prevent damage. I've redirected these to plenty of creatures. I've redirected to infect creatures. This is actually really hilarious against infect. That's the deck to beat right now. I used to run a place at a Harm's Way, and then I realized I went a little too deep, and I started sideboarding one, and then I could cut the Slay and put a 4th one in the board. It's very good right now, because if you Harm's Way an infect creature, if they're trying to go for lethal, you prevent some of the damage, and then the infect because of the way Infect works, if you guys are not familiar with how Infect works, if you look at the, you think of a good reference, if you go to Gather, what you see is the way that the Infect counters work. Let's look up Blight. Now, it's still a target, don't get me wrong, I mean, like, you know, but it gives us a lot more main deck interaction. So basically, if you look at the Oracle, some details, I don't have anything on the Oracle text for Infect, okay. Well, if you guys are unfamiliar how it works, we can just read it, the ethics. This creature deals damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters, and players in the form of poison counters. So all you gotta do is block. All you have to do is block. Which, we're pretty good at blocking. Blighted Agent isn't a good example. I don't think the poison counters actually transpire like I'm hoping. Transpose. Redirect effects versus effect. I think it's a lot more complicated than I realize. No, infect. Let's get a rules judge in here, right? Anybody a judge? Redirection and Infect gets complicated because the damage was going to be dealt to a player. Hey, what's up, Kami? How's it going? I don't know. I'd have to see it happen. Anybody have Infect? There are a couple, well, I already removed the Tidehall Scullers. That was the biggest non-bow I was testing with the Torpor Orb, and then I quickly said, you know what, I like the Torpor Orb more. The redirected damage should still be infected, says Villager. You think so? See, that's what I thought when I was first testing it. How are we redirecting the damage? Harm's Way. Think if this card, though, really what this card really does is it's a mini Lightning Helix that we get to run without having to run red. I've used it to great effect in the Grixis matchup, Burn matchup. Theoretically, we could use it in the Infect matchup. Theoretically, if I'm right, Villager. There's a lot of other matchups where their creatures, if they... Hell, even the Elves matchup, I leave them in because sometimes they're going to swing with their dudes. And the dudes are size 2 or less. But really their main functionality is protecting the Relic Seeker so that he can connect, or protecting the Arbiter. The damage is still going to be dealt in effect. Great. So it does do what I want it to do in that matchup. So in other words, if you don't have a path, you can Harm's Way, protecting yourself a little bit. And then what happens is, since it's Infect, at the end of the turn, the Infect creatures, since they're all toughness 1, all three of them, Blighted Agent, Glistener Elf, also a 1/1. You've got Inkmoth Nexus. This is also a 1 toughness creature. So what's great is even just 1 point of poison, Infect, redirected to any of these 3 threats is lethal because they'll shrink back down even if they're pumped. Claw Mirror isn't really run, Kami. I've seen, I watched the coverage. I saw them running this though, Kami. I saw them running, well, Claw Mirror is still a 2/2. So this still kills it. They don't have to be 1/1s necessarily. This is 2 damage redirection. I haven't seen Claw. I've seen one of Necropede. I've seen this. I've seen some people sideboard a Necropede. Oh, Claw is a 1/1. Doesn't it grow in combat? 2/2 when it gets blocked. Okay, so it is a 1/1. What about the, they run a 1 of the Infect Elf that destroys, it's like Viridian Corruptor. Called it. I'm getting good at this game, right? They're good at the name game. So they sometimes run like a 1 of Viridian Corruptor in the sideboard. I saw Todd doing that. Now that is a problem because that's going to take out my sword. That could take out... I'm not going to run Battle Skull against them. In that matchup, you side out the Battle Skull immediately. You bring in Slaughter Pact. Like here's how I board against Infect. I bring in the Persecution. I bring in... I don't usually bring in Slay. I like Stony Silence because they're typically a Spellskite deck. Which is a non-bow with the sword. I mean, another way you can fight them is the Land Destruction plan, which is great. Despite the fact that they run like 1 to 2 basic, maybe like 1 basic forest. You can cut them entirely off of blue with the Ghost Quarters. You can cut them entirely off of... do you bring in Surgical? Maybe. Maybe I want to see their hand. I mean, the Lingering Souls is very slow. Torpor Orb doesn't really stop too much, other than the Viridian Corruptor. That's tough. We have a lot of hand hate. I think the Honor of the Pure is greedy. It's not really going to be a grind. Even though we have Sword, you can still run Stony. Which never feels good. I mean, typically I want to leave in the equipment package if I don't bring in Stony, and then I want to side it out if I do. I guess in that case, you could run the Surgical. But the Stony is just so powerful in the Affinity matchup that I could go to Kataki's. I could go to Kataki. I've thought about it. It's a beater. It can carry a sword. It can wield a Batterskull, although in Modern you probably have hit enough mana to just bounce it, replay it, redeploy it. Gideon and Elspeth. They're so slow though. And that's why I bring out the Batterskull. Like, I don't want anything that's more than 2 or 3 mana. The only 3 mana interactions I'm okay with are, like, Crucible, because I can immediately, like, Ghost Quarter an Inkmoth. Like, just immediately be like, Crucible, bring back Ghost Quarter, you know. It's a pretty immediate effect. Well, actually, it's not immediate, is it? Because that's a land drop we haven't done yet. Maybe you could run a Planeswalker. Gideon's so much mana, though. I mean, Elspeth makes blockers. But you can only block... You can only block the, one of their threats. You can only block one of their threats. And that's a problem. Like, I have to remove the Blightsteel. Or the Blighted Agent. I can't block that. I think I like this configuration. Maybe you do bring in Surgical just to see their hand. I know that sounds crazy. But, Surgical is good if you can kill an effect creature. Right, you could, like, Surgical... I'm pretty good at answering the Nexus, the next side. Especially since I'm going to leave in Wayfarer. I'm going to leave this in this matchup. Because it's just... They're, you know, like, it was weird. Playing against the Elf player, you guys didn't really get to see the engine of my deck. Let's play another one and see if we don't play Elves again. I've played against Elves so much these past few days. I even trimmed some of my Elf hate. Like, I put, like, the Zealous, the second Zealous in the sideboard. And I even, I trimmed some of that. And, I still keep getting matched up against Elves in the practice room. I don't understand it. I'm only running the one of Honor of the Pure. I think it's really cool if you see it, but you start seeing multiples. I only bought one, and you start seeing multiples, and it's just such a bad card. But every creature I run is white or partially white. You know, Blood Baron is a white creature. So every creature that I'm running, unless I'm missing something, should be a white creature. These are... The only thing that doesn't count is the Batterskull Germ token. But the creatures that are made by Elspeth, the tokens, the Lingering Souls... I thought about going with Intangible Virtue, and then I realized, like, Arbiter and Seeker want to be bigger. They do. And Wayfarer wants to be a little bigger. They all want to grow. But I didn't want to have too much of this effect in the list, so I'm only running one for now. The Zealous has been really strong. Even against, like, Twin, it can buy you another turn. They try to go off with Deceiver. It makes all the Deceivers 0 power. They try to go off with Pestermite. It kills all the Pestermites. It's got a stronger interaction with Pestermite than it does Deceiver, but it's still a Fog. And then next turn, you top deck, I don't know, a removal spell. Hope to. Yeah. I mean, when I play against... oh, excuse me, the Torpor Orb is main. What is supposed to be inside? Oh, the Surgical. There we go. So the Torpor Orb being main lets me hedge a little bit against Twin already. It lets me hedge against Snapcaster Mage. So Twin, Snapcaster Mage. It lets us hedge against all of the Collected Company decks. If they're a Coco deck, they have enters the battlefield triggers. If they are